North Texas taking on UTSA, the Roadrunners. Meet. Now, this is a true home game for UTSA at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio. Some of these conference championship games are at neutral sites. Some of these conference championship games are at the home team or at the home field of the team with the better record. That is the case here in the Conference USA Championship game. It's a legit home game for UTSA at the Alamo Dome. They're 8-point favorites here, 67.5 being the total in this game. First thing that stands out to me is certainly the potency of both teams offensively for the duration of the conference season. I mean, you look back at just the conference results for North Texas in terms of their offense. They put up 45 on Florida Atlantic, 47 on Louisiana Tech, 40 on Western Kentucky, 52 on Florida International. They had a couple weeks where the offense was a little bit down. They lost to UAB. They didn't really get things going in the second half. They had a great first half on offense, kind of shut down after that. And then the Rice game last week, they won 21-17, but keep in mind the weather was pretty bad in that Rice North Texas game. So it was definitely a weather influenced result. Still a very good offensive football team, no question about that. Austin Aune is, I think, damn near close to 30 years old. It feels like he's been the quarterback here with the Mean Green forever. And he certainly led what's been a very capable offense. You look at the statistics here for North Texas, 30th in passing yards per game in the country, 21st in rushing yards per game, very balanced on offense, 17th in total yards per game, 473 total yards per game, 6.9 yards per play on offense, which is pretty impressive when you look at it. On the flip side of the equation, you've got UTSA and their own very prolific offense, led, of course, by the dual threat quarterback, Frank Harris, who really isn't running the football as much as he has in the past. He's really made a very concerted effort to develop as a pocket passer, really, become more of a just bona fide passing quarterback. And he's really done a great job of it here for UTSA. He's been marvelous throwing the football this year for this team. I think you throw out the result against UTEP, that they escaped by the skin of their teeth, 34-31 in that game. It was a bit of a flat spot. They had already locked up their spot here in the conference championship game, and they kind of played like it through much of that game. But, the overall numbers this year for Harris, 69.6% completion rate. How about over 3,500 passing yards, 27 touchdowns to 7 interceptions? Pretty good ratio there. This to me, first thing that stands out to me is we probably see points. You're not going to have much in terms of weather impeding these two teams in this game. And you look at the point spread here in this game. It's also very interesting to note that, the last 2 years for North Texas versus UTSA, they beat them last year, 45-23 as 9.5-point dogs. And keep in mind, a bit of a flat spot in that game for UTSA. But North Texas kind of justified that they match up pretty well against UTSA, perhaps, when earlier this year when these teams played in the conference regular season, it was 31-27 UTSA. They only won by 4. North Texas was a 10-point dog in that game. And it ended up being a very close competitive football game. So, on first inclination is UTSA's done a great job the last few years in terms of winning these conference championship games at home, but both of those were against Western Kentucky. This is a new opponent now for them this year, North Texas. But you look at the recent 2 head-to-heads here, Mean Green versus Roadrunners. They've been the last game was a 1-score game, 4-point game, and last year North Texas won handily. So it feels like you're laying a bit of a premium here with UTSA. Certainly would lean to North Texas, was certainly above a touchdown. I lean in that direction. I like the over, though, certainly. I think we're going to see a good deal of points in this game. Total has already moved up from 66.5 to 67.5, and I agree with that move. Conor, what do you think here? Conference USA title game.
Yeah, I got to hit a shout out to the chat. Everyone in here, hit the like button, all that. We got DJ Big Boss in here. He said Pac-12 refs. No shit. Earl Sports thinks Alabama, TCU, and SC could still lose. Possibility. Dana, John Lee, what's up? Nasty Nate, James S. What's going on? Mr. Always Prophet, what's going on, my man? Yeah, there's injuries both backfields for both these teams. Yeah. So they're both dealing with it with running backs. But I go back to that game a few weeks ago. And I think it goes over as well. That first half was just really the first quarter, I think, was scoreless. And then the second quarter, there was like maybe a touchdown or two. Then it just exploded, still ended up just short of that total. I think if there's just some, as long as there's a couple touchdowns, it probably is on pace, right, for this total. I had this more like 5. Can UTSA win here? I think so. North Texas has got blown out. Their defense has kind of been hit or miss all year long. I still remember when UNLV blew them out. That was a long time ago. But yeah, and you got to think North Texas is remembering that game, though. They thought they had won it with whatever 30 seconds left, and they go right down and win it. Does UTSA? I see a good one. I lean the points. It's just over a touchdown. I got to lean North Texas here. And there should be points, but I don't know if it gets there. So the total, I don't know if I'm going to be on the over.
Yeah, injuries, you're right, in the backfield, especially for UTSA. Traylon Smith, he did not play against UTEP. He's been very good running the – this has been more of a passing team, though, all year. But still, you still like to have the threat of being able to run the ball. And Traylon Smith is maybe not available for this game. It'll be interesting to see because he was in a walking boot, did not play last week, and he's definitely his status up in the air for Friday night in the Conference USA Championship game between these two teams. So keep your eye on that. But UTSA likes to chuck the football, though, a lot more this year than they have in years past. Definitely is more of a pass-heavy team. That North Texas secondary is pretty rough. And that probably is the biggest concern I have with taking the 8 with North Texas is how many stops are they going to get? That secondary is pretty shabby when it comes to North Texas. So that could be something that gets sliced and diced by, like I said, Frank Harris is just it's been an aerial assault pretty much all season for Frank Harris. He's been absolutely terrific throwing the football downfield and should be able to make some plays against this North Texas secondary. And yes, indeed, shout out to everyone in the chat. We thank you all for joining us here on a Monday, as always.
I think North Texas, real quick, I thought they played their best, most complete game like about a month ago with Western Kentucky, that blowout. And the last 2 weeks, they beat Rice, 21-17, and then they got blown out by UAB. So sliding a little bit